I also wanted to ask you about the next match. I know this is going to catch you out of left field, but I enjoyed, excuse me, the Hurt Syndicate and Big Bill and Brian Keith. I'm super impressed with Big Bill and the way he looks and performs in 2025. He's got star written all over him. But I think my biggest takeaway was the Hurt Syndicate because I said to myself, I was actually watching with a couple of friends.
Did you say self?
I said, "Hey guys, in an alternate universe, like if quote unquote wrestling was real, is there anybody out there who could beat this tag team of Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley? Like two legitimate. I mean, when you talk about credibility, believability, like they check every box." And I actually asked them, "Hey, in an alternate universe, I know they both enjoyed incredible individual success, but if they would have started as a tag team 20 years ago, can you imagine the way they would be revered as an act now?" Like to me, on some level, it's like the Steiner brothers, that era of legitimacy where you know they have that amateur background, but they're big enough and bad enough. What are you going to do about it? I get like a Steiner brother vibe. In an alternate universe, I would have loved for that to have been a long term tag team. I'm saying all that to say, I think they might be my favorite tag team right now.
When you just gave the comparison, and I just kind of teleported back, can you imagine a program, the Steiners against the Hurt Syndicate?
Come on.
Yeah, I mean that damn, Conrad, that would be, that would be some hard hitting. Shelton, neither guy, and I can get away with saying this, neither guy is a spring chicken, but their look, Conrad,
unbelievable.
It's off the charts. They look phenomenal. Shelton is a unbelievable athlete. I mean, crazy, man. When you really know his stats, oh my God.
I was negative on it the first time I saw it, Jeff. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, I don't like it. And it was because I want traditional tag teams. I don't like when it's this guy's a star and this guy's a star, and maybe we don't really have anything for them. Let's put them together. As a rule of thumb, I don't like that.
Okay.
I like the Hart Foundation, the British Bulldogs, the Harlem Heat, the Steiner Brothers, Demolition. Like I want a polished team. Since I knew them both individually, I was like, I'm not going to like this. And then the more I watched it, I think it might be my favorite tag team. I didn't see it happening at first, but it's like, dude, I think about fantasy booking them against Demolition from back in the day, them against the Road Warriors, them against the Nasties, them against Doom, them against, Harlem Heat. But I always go back to, dude, they're modern Steiner brothers. I know they're not brothers. You get what I mean. But the amateur credibility is there. And I just think MVP is kind of the cherry on top. I'm here for the Hurt Syndicate.
You know what? I didn't realize that we disagree on something here. Now I do, I'll go old school in the territory here. The rock and roll, the Fabs, the Sheep Herders. I mean, going back in a whole nother day, the interns and the bounty hunters and all that kind of stuff. But I think the most well-known would be Hogan Savage, the Mega Powers being put together. I really think that I always love the good chemistry when you put two singers together, but then they come out and absolutely say, we are a tag team now. I just think the personalities and the dynamic, and maybe, just maybe, Conrad, under the layers of our humanness, if you will, as we digest it, you think there's something to that you saw Bobby Lashley all those years, and you saw Shelton and Shelton in and out of different tag teams. Do you think there's a little bit of a magic there in that it appeared to you or occurred to you, or the light bulb went off? Hey man, they look great as a tag team and they're both badasses. Is it because they were both singles? You knew them before?
I don't know. I just know that this snuck up on me. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I do. And now I think it might be my favorite tag team. One of the matches that everyone circled before they were going into this one was the three-way dance. Kenny Omega, Ricochet, and Speedball. Bailey, we mentioned near the top of the program that Kenny Omega got his hand raised there. But what a performance by all three. I'm not sure that Ricochet is of this world. And Speedball Bailey, man, for this to be one of his first AEW pay-per-views, he took some crazy bumps that people in my household had never seen before. I mean, crazy stuff. Did you get a chance to see this one? What'd you think?
Buddy, did I get a chance to see it? This may be a hot topic or a loose wire, or I may be going down a limb, but can you imagine in a different world or a different night, or if that would have gone on last?
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there. Yes, Kenny, he over delivers. And Speedball, and I don't know if you probably did, and you probably had the sound down. Oh, there's Jeff talking. But on 0 Hour, we covered a real fascinating side of Speedball, and kind of I don't call it a sidebar, but his journey. I mean, he was prohibited from coming into the States, and he's Canadian, and he kind of looked at Kenny's career and how Kenny, made himself a name around the world. And so Speedball traveled from coast to coast in Canada, and he just really tried to define his craft and all that, and worked with a lot of folks around the world, including the folks that are now a part of the AEW roster. And Renee went through several of them, and I wasn't completely aware of. And then obviously the Marvez research and all that kind of stuff. But man, for him, and I know he's been on TNA, but for him to make his AEW pay-per-view under that setting, a rocking house, man, a rocking Philly house, I'd almost go as far as say he may be the all-star of that match, and that's taking in a lot of ground when you have Ricochet, who is straight up coming into his home as his own, as the antagonist, if you will, the heel, the bad guy. But I thought those three, you couldn't ask for anything better. It tore the house down, and then again, in a different thought, just how everything transpired, it would have been interesting to see, Kenny get the win, Okada music, go off the air with face to face because of their iconic. Now, look, hey, Jeff, you got to put the world title on last. I get that. So I'm not going to, argue that point, because look, records are made to be broken. Rules are made to be broken. Traditions are what got us here. So I can understand both sides of the argument. But I was just thinking, that triple threat tore the house down. And if that was the last image you saw, I thought, anyway, that's me playing truly Monday morning quarterback.
Well, let's talk about the main event. I think nearly everyone predicted that Swerve Strickland was going to win the world title. I think Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer's site actually had a headline posting that Swerve won his second world title. Maybe they wrote it ahead of time.
No,
but that didn't happen. John Moxley got the victory.
Yes.
And the Young Bucks are back, seemingly siding with the Death Riders. Tony Khan addressed this at the press conference afterwards, where he was asked, hey, do you listen to fan feedback? Because it doesn't feel like fans are into the Death Riders. And Tony had an answer for it and said, I think the Young Bucks coming back and siding with the Death Riders makes it very interesting. And I agree. I think I'm more into this Death Rider angle right now than I have been in a while, because I think everybody goes, the Young Bucks. What do we have here? I want to see what happens on Wednesday now. That's kind of the idea, right, Jeff?
Yeah, I was going to say, who would have thought? Do a little episodic programming in there. Look, and that when you have a moment like that, and the history, oh boy, I mean, that I'll really get long-winded here, so I'm going to make sure that I won't. But the Bucks have history with literally everyone, essentially, in AEW, especially at the top of the card. So when those guys enter into the scene, as my old man used to say, the entire deck is reshuffled in a real positive way because of what you just said. How does this play? Okay, well, we saw what happened on Wednesday between Hangman and Swerve. Okay, how does that play? Wait a minute. Wait, they actually helped Moxie win. Well, no, wait a minute. How does that play? How does that play to what happened on their, kind of last night at Dynamite? Just all the layers, intrigue. In a lot of ways, that is the essence of our business. What's next? It's certainly got all eyes lasered in on Dynamite this week. I'll say that. And a lot of options. And I think that is one of the best things when you enter top guys right back into the mix at the very top. And, you know, yes, they align themselves, but that's just the tip of the iceberg of the story. Anyway, I'm pumped. It's an injection into all sorts of factions and stories and show elements and the promotion, and certainly Double or Nothing will be here for you know it, and that's, you know, the next peak of the arc. So we'll see.
Jacob Silva. I'm from Bulls Gap, Tennessee. I was looking for a house, and Jason, when I talked to him, it seemed like he knew a lot about what he was talking about, and he was a big help with anything I ever needed. It was my first time buying a house, so I didn't know what I was getting into. It was a good experience. I closed actually a week earlier than planned. Anytime I needed help with anything or had any questions, he'd answer right away and help me learn a lot too. I would gladly recommend anybody. Y'all are a big help, and if I ever go to buy a house again, I'd go with y'all again. My name is Jacob Stimmel, and I got into my first home with the team at SaveItConrad.com.
NMLS number 2129, Equal Housing Lender. SaveWithConrad.com.